So how's everything going?
Good, good. Just busy.
Okay, I think the audio may have cut out on your side for a second.
Oh, okay. I just said busy as usual, but how about you?
I have been, well, trying to work with Instagram as much as I can. My account, for whatever reason, got action blocked again. So
Oh,
I'm trying to
interesting. Yeah.
call them in to see what's going on, and it's kind of been frustrating. So that's what I've been up to.
Are you using one of the softwares like to do the liking or the following?
I was trying to find a good service for that won't come up as a bot because I can't be on Instagram 24/7.
Yeah, it's tough. They're pretty good at it now. I mean, their algorithms are pretty complicated in detecting it. It's also not effective. Well, what I've noticed is because I tried that a little bit, and what it seems like to me is that even if it works, right, like you might gain followers or whatnot, what ends up happening is that your engagement drops because they don't show your content to your followers.
Mhm.
So it ends up not even working. The best thing that I've found that's working right now is to, well, obviously produce good content, but use the appropriate hashtags, like small hashtags, so
Mhm.
that you can kind of grow in that area. And then any kind of collaboration, like legit collaborations. The problem is people are selling collabs all the time, and it's like bullshit shout outs, but legit collabs seem to work good. They're hard to get. Um, there's supposed to be engagement groups that you can join, like DM groups, where everyone kind of like bigger accounts like upvote your stuff, and that's supposed to still work. But I haven't. I mean, it's a lot of work to get that going. But I guess if that's like if you're really dead set on increasing your Instagram, that's probably the best way to do it. And if all else fails, you can you just have to be a hot chick and post pictures of your ass. That is the
Pretty much all you have to
this
do, get some
yeah.
Gymshark leggings and
There
strike
you
a
go.
few poses, and next thing you know, you'll have 10K followers in like 2 weeks.
Just like that. Yep. That's all you need
They
to
have
do.
it so
So
much easier than we do.
yeah. Yeah. It used to mean something to be an influencer. It used to mean that you created good content, you had something to say. Not the case anymore. The influencer
No,
is not quite what it means before, but
I think I did watch one of your videos where you talked about that even though you do have a good physique, why you weren't going to make workout videos, and I think you did mention something about being an influencer and how it doesn't mean much anymore.
right, yeah, yeah, it's true. So all right, how do you want to do this?
Usually I just begin by asking, like, I've seen your story, I know kind of where you've come from, like being the how do I like the typical kind of beta male to what you are now. And I like to ask people how like what was the big moment that really made you want to change?
Okay, okay, yeah. Are you recording now, or do you want to?
Oh, I've been recording for like five
Oh, you've been
minutes.
recording. Okay, all right. I wonder if I said anything that's going to get me crucified as a sexist, racist pig. As if I care.
Oh,
So,
you mean the one video you had to take down?
oh well, actually, I had to take it down because a friend of mine he didn't want their names to be. He had a deal. I don't know. They put some pressure on him. One of the
Yeah,
big
I
companies.
saw
So
the video you put up after that explaining it.
yeah, yeah. So, but okay. So we're rolling. We're interviewing now, and yeah. So go ahead, ask away. I missed your question there.
So my question was, so I think it may have been an ad for you or a video where you talked about where you used to be and where you are now.
Yeah.
What was one key moment that made you realize you had to change?
Yeah, so I mean there's different inflection points in my life, I'd say. But I think one of the key moments was just waking up one morning and thinking to myself, why not me? Right? That was a thought that
Mhm.
came into my head, is why not me? Right? It's like there's nothing different fundamentally about me, right? Like, I have a brain, I'm human, maybe I don't have the best genetics in the world as someone else says, but it doesn't matter. Like there's people that are successful, you know, in all areas of life and in all walks of life. And so I had just had this thought, like, why not me? And that was really the thing that spurred me to change. And it kind of almost, you know, upset me too, because I'm like, well, what the fuck? What am I doing? Like, why have I accepted this for so long? Just being, you know, this guy that, you know, and a lot of this happened early when I was younger. Just this guy that like was at the bottom tier, right? Not very popular, not very sociable, right? Just accepting this life, right? Not very successful. And so what I did, you know, from that point forward is as I started to think about like who was the person that I wanted to become, right? Not the different person, but me myself, right? What is the best version of myself, and envision that in my head. And when I did that, then it became clear. Then what I started to do was I started acting as if I was already that person, you know, walking like that person would walk, talking like that person would talk, playing the role, almost like an actor playing the role. And what ends up happening, what's really interesting about this, is that when you play a role for a long enough time, you become the role, right? And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, some people say, oh, well, you're being fake, man. Like, that's not the real you. You just need to be yourself. You're betraying yourself. But that's not true, because we are not immutable beings. We are mutable. We decide who we want to become. And I honestly believe that within us there is a seed which tells us, like, the reason why we want to be whatever it is that we desire to be is because that's who we truly are. And we
Mm-hmm.
have to shed this false self. And what creates our false self is our insecurities. There's our seeking external validation from other people. It's all of these other things that create this false shell around us, which actually we think is our true self, but it's not. It's our scared beta self, and we have to shed that. And we only shed that through the fire, through going through trials, through tribulations, through putting ourselves through the shit in order to purify and to find what is actually there and what is important, and to transform, right? When we're transforming, we're actually becoming more of ourselves. And I believe that is, you know, is really our goals. And you see this because you see the people that have transformed, and you see the before and afters, and you always look at their old footage or their old videos or the old person of themselves, and they don't seem comfortable in their skin.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't belong. Yet afterwards, they're perfectly comfortable. They're no longer playing a role. They are the thing. So,
They're no longer playing a role that society kind of forces on them.
right.
And I know in my life, I've had, well, at least YouTubers that I've watched and other influencers, well, actual influencers who have influenced me to do this. Were there any key people that you met or you saw that made you realize you could change?
Yeah, there were a few. Like I said, you know, my change has
Mm-hmm.
not been like, okay, here and then here, like overnight. There's
Mm-hmm.
been inflection points, right? Tony Robbins calls it breakthroughs, right? There's periods of time where you can imagine like water on a stove. There's heat going on, right? But there's a point where it boils. But that one moment didn't cause the water to boil. It was the heat that was generating, and then it finally hit a transition point where it became a different substance. And that's how life is, and you go through these different phases over time, and these periodic breakthroughs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened, you know, with me is there were several influences. One, I already told you about that kind of incident, but one big one, especially on YouTube, was I remember I was at, well, first of all, Elliot Hulse, right? So I
Oh yeah,
watched
him.
Elliot Hulse videos, and and at first I was watching his videos, I was like, what the fuck is it? This guy is fucking smoking crack or something. Like, is this a workout video, or is he like, you know, what the hell is he saying? Grabbing your, breathing into your balls. But I was intrigued, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This guy's a fucking philosopher king. This is what he is. He's a
Mm-hmm.
philosopher, right? And I realized I'm like, I'm a philosopher, right? And that kind of got me moving a little bit in a different direction, because before then I was making videos that were very PC, that were very much just you know, very monotone, not necessarily monotone, but I don't know how to describe it, but uh, fairy tale land, kind of just clean, and not raw. Let's say that, right? Smooth
Okay.
over, paved over.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw Elliot, I was like, okay, you know, there's a little bit of raw element here, and let's go a little bit deeper. Let's talk some philosophy here. Let's mix some things up. here, and that was kind of an inspiration for me. And then I was actually at Elliot Hulse's event, one of his strength camp
Oh, I
events, and
saw that.
yeah, and this was actually a few years ago. The first one I went. I am running short on time too, so just to let you know, I got about like 10-15 minutes.
Okay, that should be plenty of time. So the connection cut out when you were talking about the camp you went to for Elliot Hulse.
Yeah, so when I went there, actually, I ran into Brandon Carter, became friends with Brandon Carter, who has a pretty big YouTube channel, Keto King on King Keto on Instagram. And we were sharing book lists on Audible, right? He listens to a lot of audiobooks, and we found out we had that in common. And so actually that influenced me quite a bit as well, right? Because, you know, he was making videos that were a lot more raw, and he was making videos like one video every day. I was worried about making videos too frequently, or I think he was doing maybe 3 videos a week or 4 or something like that. He had some frequency. So I started making one video a day, and that was just like a huge breakthrough. I think after that conference, I started making much more raw videos, getting much more personal and authentic in the videos, and that made all the difference. That made the channel grow, and it was also just a different mindset for me to stop playing it safe, you know.
And so part of your transition to where you are now, like, what inspired you to get onto YouTube and start making those videos?
Yeah, so you know, initially it was really just with Simple Programmer, my other company, that I wanted to expand to a different medium, right? So I was doing blog posts and I had a podcast, and then I thought, well, you know, I can start creating some content on YouTube. So I just started making like one video a week on YouTube just to create that content. I mean, I've always sort of preferred video as a medium because I feel like I can express more through video, and I can come across better in video than you can in audio or just writing. So that was always an interest to me, but yeah, that's what got me started doing it. So
Okay. And what made you want to, I know you talked about guys you coach, that you do coach, like what made you want to do that? Or what inspired you to do that?
it's just something that just comes naturally to me, right? I believe that the way that you find your purpose in life is that you find the one thing that you're going to do no matter what, no matter whether you're the president of the United States or a janitor, that no one could stop you from doing, right? And it's not a specific thing. It's like the type of thing that you're doing. And for me, it's learning as much as I can, simplifying it and teaching it to someone else, right? I've always done that in every role, every job I've ever had. I've always been the kind of go-to guy, the mentor guy that people go to for advice, because I synthesize the information. And so that's really, you know, it's always been kind of my calling, like my purpose. And so doing the coaching was only natural from that, because there's a lot of people that could use the guidance, and it's something that I'm good at. It's something that I love to do, and I feel like it's the most impactful thing that I can do, because I impact men, teach them how to build businesses, how to improve their lives, and they impact other people through those lives that are changed. So that's, to me, it's one of the most valuable things to do, even though it doesn't seem like it scales. The effects scale.
And what was the hardest part about getting this whole business you have started?
Well, I think the hardest part is honestly the belief, right? A lot of these things, you know, when I lived in the real world, the cubicle world, is everyone said, oh yeah, no, you can't do that, oh, that will never work, right? Everyone kind of had these dreams of building a business or building an online business or becoming financially free, but everyone was negative about it. They didn't believe that these things were possible. And so and you go out there on a limb, right? I mean, you start a business. Most people quit because I remember writing blog posts for Simple Programmer initially, and I wrote 3 blog posts a week for a year. And it was like, even at the end of the year, there was like maybe 200 people visiting my site per month. Like there was like no traffic on my posts, and I was pretty sure most of them were my coworkers. And so you start to think like, oh, well, you know, does anyone care? Is this just a waste of time, right?
Mhm.
But it takes time. You know, it took probably about 2 years. I remember 2 years in, and I had the blog going, and I was like, and I put up an Amazon affiliate link, and I made $5 one day, and I was like, oh shit, I just made some money online, right? But but that was like the eye opener. It's like, okay, well, if I can make $5, I can make more than $5, right? Like, if I can sell anything, if I can sell an ebook, if I can sell something, then I always say, if there's one, there's more than one. It's a really important principle to understand, is that, and it applies to a lot of things, right? It applies to business, it applies to dating, it applies to just about anything in life, is that if there's one, there's more than one, right? And so, you know, I tell people all the time, it's like, well, when I'm coaching them, all we got to do is get you to sell one to one person, just your product to one person, because I know if there's one, there's more than one, right?
Mhm.
You'll be able to find 1,000. There's, you know, this is a big world, billions of people in this world, right? So if you're able to connect to one, and get them to give you money, other people give you money. It's the same thing in dating too. When I'm in the coaching there, I'm like, have you ever had a girl that was interested in you at all? Have you ever like kissed a girl, right? And some guys, you know, they say no. So then my objective is, okay, well, let's find one. Because if there's one, there's more than one. But if they say
Mhm.
yes, then I say, well, there's billions of people in this world. If there's one, there's more than one, for sure. 100%. You just have to find them, right? And perfect your skills, right? So it doesn't mean that you can't, that, you know, that you don't have to work on yourself and work on your business and improve your marketing and improve your charisma and things like that. But it does mean that, you know, it gives you encouragement to know that all you should really be seeking when you're starting out with business, with dating, with any of these things, is just to find one, just one. Because if you find one, then you know it proves the idea, right? Because the odds, the astronomical odds that you found the only person in the fucking universe that would actually buy your shit or go on a date with you is insane. There's no way that that's possible. So
Mhm.
it's more likely that you found the one out of 50, or the one out of 100, or it's even, you know, the more unlikely it is, the more rare it gets. If you found the one out of 1,000, that's pretty rare, right?
Mhm.
But even if it's one out of 1,000, it's still doable, right? If you're
Mhm.
selling a product and one out of 1,000 people will buy it, shit. If you contact 100,000 people, right, you're gonna sell, you know, you're gonna sell 100 of those. That's great. That's fine. Or actually 1,000 of those, right? I said one person. Yeah, or one out of 1,000 is not 1%. It's 0.1%. So yeah, 100. I was right in the first place. But you know, same thing, right? If one out of 1,000, you talk to 1,000 girls, and 999 reject you, but one doesn't. Oh fuck, you just got to go find another 1,000. I mean, yeah, that's a big number, but I'm just saying, like, it's doable. It's
It's
possible.
pretty much just a
You know,
numbers game.
yeah, yeah. At the end of the day, right? What changes it is you have power over changing the numbers, right? You know, in business,
Mhm.
if you're better at marketing, if you have a better product, if you're better at selling that product, then maybe one in 1,000 becomes one in 100, right? In
Mhm.
dating, relationships, if you're a little more charismatic, if you look a little better, right? If you improve your appearance, then maybe your one in 1,000 becomes one in 100, maybe becomes one in 50. You know, you learn some game, maybe becomes one in 10. So, you know, there's always hope. So even for the worst of us, there's always hope, as long as you can find one.
Mhm. I have two more questions. I'll start off with the first one, and that is, so for a guy who's just getting started in this journey of his, what
Ooh,
is the one biggest piece of advice you would give him?
that's a good question. Let me think about this for a second. What was the one biggest piece of advice? There's some things I would say, but I would say this. Don't worry about how you feel. Don't worry about whether you think things are working or not. Don't worry whether or not other people care. Don't worry about if you feel uncomfortable. Just go and do the shit anyway.
Mhm.
And don't worry about the results, right? This is sort of trusting the process, right? The idea is that you just need to take actions. And if you keep on taking those bold actions, results will come eventually in all of the areas of your life, right? Like I said, if
Mhm.
you're starting a business, fuck, I don't give a fuck if no one cares about your YouTube channel, or just start making the damn videos. Just fucking do it. And if no one's watching it, well, fuck them. It doesn't matter. Like, just do it. You know, if you're going out there and you're going out and trying to learn some game and you're talking to girls and they're all just rejecting you, well, fuck it. It doesn't matter. You're going out there and you're putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation and you're growing from that. Like all of these things, like, because a lot of times guys starting out, they want to be where they're going to be in 10 years from now, but they want it in 1 year. It's not going to fucking happen. What you need to do is you need to focus not on the results, but focus on improving your, because you are a reflection of your internal state. Your external state will be a reflection of your internal. So if you become fucking strong and bulldog and confident and you've gone through a lot of shit and you can grind it out and you're tough as fucking nails, you will have external changes in your life as a result of that. It's all about becoming the person. It's not about getting the thing. It's about becoming the person. So the reason why we do hard shit, the reason why we go out there and put ourselves on the fucking line has nothing to do with getting the result. It has everything to do with, because that's the fucking thing that is going to forge you and is going to make you tough, is going to make you resilient, is going to make you the kind of person that you need to become. And when you become that, then the results come automatically. But seeking the results, it's like chasing happiness, right? There's books, you know, you may have heard about, you know, that you shouldn't be chasing happiness. And it's true, because if you chase it, you will not find it. But it's a side effect of living your life the right way. And it's the same thing here. So that's the advice I would give: to stop fucking caring what other people think, stop looking for results, and just fucking do. Take action, be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and just work on growing yourself.
Mm-hmm. And you dipped into a little bit into the second question I was going to ask you, and that is, what are some books you would recommend for guys to read?
Yeah, so definitely, you know, I've got a list of top books for men to read. You can check out on my YouTube channel if you search on there. But I'll give you some off the top of my head. One of them, I think every guy should read The Rational Male by Rollo Tomassi. But they should read it. You should read it with a grain of salt, right? Do not develop bitterness from reading this book. Instead, just see reality clearly. That's the goal. There should be no. If you're reading this and you're feeling bitter, you've gone the wrong path. You're going to the dark side. It's not good for your soul. So, but you need to know the reality of the situation that you're facing. Second one I would recommend is The Way of Man, or The Way of Men by Jack Donovan. Very good book. He has a couple books in that series also that are good, but The Way of Men is a critical book. The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. That's also a really, really good book that talks about it's more about the intergender dynamics between masculine and feminine, the play there, and how to be actually a man within a relationship beyond just presenting the alpha front in the pickup community. You need to understand what lies deeper than that, and it requires you to actually have strength and to see the differences between the masculine and the feminine. So I would start with those books on masculinity. Iron John is a good book also that is metaphorically written, that talks about the journey of man and becoming a man.
Mm-hmm.
Another one I would recommend in general is The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. That is a good book on finances and creating financial independence for yourself, which I think is critical and very important. And then another one I'd recommend is Psycho-Cybernetics, or The New Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, which is a book about how identity and self-identity, your self-image, changes or basically affects in every way who you are and your behavior. And you know, understanding that, I think, is critical to transforming and changing yourself and changing your behavior. So pretty good list of books. I could list a ton more because you should be reading at least a book a month, if not a book a week. You know, throw on your fucking headphones when you're running or you're at the gym and listen to audio books, and, you know, fill your head with knowledge. Because, you know, one of the things I'll tell you, you know, I just had a podcast interview with a guy, you know, pretty successful, but all the successful entrepreneurs I know, every single one of them, you know, when I start talking books, they're like, oh yeah, I read that book. So we've all read the same book. So it's like, there's something in common here. And it's because, you know, you need to be expanding your mind. So, you know, this kind of goes to your first question, but the other thing I would say is read a lot of books.
That's one thing I've been focusing on doing this year because I cannot I hate opening a book and reading, but
Yeah,
I get a whole lot more when I'm listening, so I love Audible.
exactly. Yeah, it's awesome. It'll change your life. I mean, you put 100 of the best books worth of knowledge in your head, you're different. You're a different man. Like
Mhm.
and you're more educated than 99% of the population at that point, right? Because most people have never read more than 20, 30 books in their whole life. So
Well, that's all the questions I had, and just wanna say right now, thank you very much for agreeing to do this with me. I really
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, no problem. Glad to do it. All right.
And I know you have other things you need to do today, so